Okay, so in this video, we're going to take a look at how do you solve for x. We're going to take a look at two problems. The first problem will solve for x when the variables are all in the denominator. And then the second problem, we'll look at a word problem, which is a similar setup. So in the first problem, let's consider 3 over m minus 2 plus 1 over m minus 1 is equal to 7 over m square minus 3m plus 2. Okay, so at first glance, when you look at a problem like this, it's easy to look at this and say, oh my God, what do I do? This looks too complicated. The reality is there's a method to the madness, okay? So don't do anything with the m minus 2 and the m minus 1 first. First, look at the more complicated side, the trinomial expression. And oftentimes when you see problems like this, the trinomial can actually be factored to give you this and this, which is going to make your whole life a lot easier. So that's what we're going to tackle first. We'll take a look at the trinomial and see if we can factor that, okay? So if you have m squared minus 3m plus 2, well, let's factor that. So the 2 times the 1 out here gives you 2, and factors of 2 that are going to make 3 is going to be 2 and 1. So, and we want negative 3, so both of them have got to be negative to give the negative 3, right? So now I'm going to replace the negative 3m with the negative 2 and negative 1. So m squared minus 2m minus m plus 2. Okay, now let's group them. M squared minus 2m minus m. Watch carefully because I'm putting this in parentheses and there's a negative outside. The positive for the 2 is going to flip to a negative. Okay, now let's pull out common factors. So m comes out the first one, leaving behind m minus 2. And 1 comes out the second one, leaving behind m minus 2. So see how these two match? Okay, so I write the matching term first, and then I write the remainder, which is m minus 1. Okay, now do you see how these two terms, they match these two? Okay, so when that happens, essentially what we're saying is that this is the LCD for all these denominators, okay? And so what we're going to do is we're simply going to look at what to do with this 3 out here. Since I have m minus 2 at the bottom, and since m minus 2 is already present out here, so m minus 2 makes the LCD by multiplying m minus 1 with it, right? So what that means is I'm going to drop the m minus 2 and multiply the 3 out here with the m minus 1. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 3 times m minus 1. The second term, m minus 1, has to be multiplied with m minus 2 to make this entire term. So therefore, I'm going to multiply the 1 with m minus 2. Just write that properly. And then the last one, this term out here is the same as this, so it only goes into it once. So the 7 gets multiplied with 1, which keeps it as 7. Now I'm going to go ahead and solve for m. So distributing the 3, I get 3m minus 3. Distributing the 1, I get 1m minus 2 is equal to 7. Combine the m's gives me 4m. Combine the 3 and the negative 3 and the 2 gives me negative 5. And then I'll pull the 5 over to the other side by adding 5 to both. So I get 4m is equal to 12. And then divide both sides by 4. So m is equal to 3. And there you have it. That's how you solve this kind of a problem. Okay, let's look at a word problem now, okay? So you can pause the video, take a few seconds to read the problem, and then we can go through how to solve this kind of problem, okay? All right, so in this problem, it basically says a man can plant his garden in 5 hours working alone. His daughter can do the same job in 8 hours. How long would it take for them to do the job if they work together? All right, so the way you want to do this problem is you want to set up a table, okay? So let's create a little table out here. and we're gonna call the man M, okay? Or let's just call it man, okay? Man, and then you have his daughter. Okay, so we're gonna have one row for the man and one row for the daughter. Okay, and according to the problem, it says that the time that the man would take if he did the job alone would be 5 hours. Okay, and the time the daughter would take if she did the job alone would be 8 hours. All right, and then so what you want to do, because the job is only one, right? So out here, the job is one, okay? So therefore, what we can do is we can figure out the rate, okay? So and by the rate, what I mean is, so I'm just going to write rate out here, and what that means is how much of the job, let me write that down here, I don't want to muddle things up. So the rate is equal to how much of the job will be done in 1 hour, right? Okay, so in order to calculate that, you take the total job, which is 1, we talked about, and you divide it by 5 for the man, and then you take the total job, which is 1, and divide it by 8 for the daughter. That's how much each of them will do in 1 hour, right? Okay, so together, we don't know how much they're doing together, right? So together, let's say they take X hours, okay? X hours. So therefore, how much of the job is going to be done in those hours by each of them? So it's going to be 1/5 for the man times X, and the daughter is going to be doing 1/8 times X, okay? So now that we have, so this is the number of hours it takes for both of them to do the job, and because they have different rates, if you take the rate and you multiply it with the hours, that tells you how much of the job is done by the man and how much is done by the daughter. So now all we have to do is set this up as an equation to solve for X. So that's what we're going to do next. So so therefore what we can say is that this much of the job which was done by the man and this much which was done by the daughter, if we add them, they should equal 1. Okay, because the whole total job is 1. So that's what we're going to do. 1/5 X plus 1/8 X is equal to 1. And now we just have to solve for X. So let's go ahead and solve this the way we've been doing. Lowest common denominator for 5 and 8 is 40. So 5 times 8 is 40. So 8 times, so the first equation becomes 8x because 5 times 8 is 40. Therefore, you multiply 8 with the 1x. And the second one becomes, well, 8 times 5 is 40. So 5 times x. And then the third, the part on the right-hand side, because if you could think about this, this is really 1 over 1. So 1 times 40 is 40. So this one gets multiplied with 40. All right. So let's add these together. So you get 13x is equal to 40. So x is equal to 40 over 13. And if you convert this to a mixed number, this would be 13 times 3 is 39. You get 1 left over, 1 over 13. So that's how many hours. So 3 and 1 over 13 hours. That's how many hours it takes for the job to be done if the man and the daughter work together. Okay? And that's what the question wants you to find out. Okay? Hopefully that made sense. Thank you for watching.